Hello, my name is James, and you're watching Macabre Manscape, the most ill-titled music-based channel on YouTube, and today we are doing some old things and some new things. The new thing being the portrait filming this blurred background, hopefully, so it makes everything look a little bit more smooth, hopefully, and makes the background less distracting. The new thing, or the old thing that we're trying again, is the music in the background, which used to be a feature of this channel back when I was trying to be more like certain, like BCLT, heavy metal, extreme metal guys, and I quickly got over it, and there was no point because it made it a nightmare to edit, and it only really works if you do it in one take, so we're gonna try one take. Oh my god, the kitty. Anyways, what we're listening to in the background is The Hall of the Olden Dreams by Moor. This is a Spanish band. They are symphonic power metal. Cat. Arnie, stop it. Symphonic power metal, super high energy, very catchy, at least in this older incarnation of this band. This is back when they were in fact female-led, and their style is kind of less Nightwish, Visions of Atlantis, more Rhapsody, you know, like that ilk of like hyper melodic power metal. And it is also topical for today's discussion, which is seasonal listening music that reminds me of winter and Christmas. And this is this was going to be an option for this discussion. However, it also is fitting to put in the background because it is one of the few pieces of music on this list that I think actually sound like Christmas, like the bells and the keys. It's just very Christmassy in tone. Everything else is going to be kind of different because a lot of people associate winter with very cold sounding music, and I do not at all. You'll see as we go through this list, like it's going to get a little bit more varied as it goes on, but it'll be not very blistering cold or very doomy the way that a lot of people tend to listen to during the winter. This is more like a Christmas nostalgia list of albums I really like and I associate very heavily with the holiday seasons. I wanted to do a little seasonal listening video also for Halloween and spooky season, which I never put out. I did record it eventually, but the lighting sucked, the audio sucked, everything about it sucked, so I decided not to even bother with it in chronological order because that was the easiest way to do this list for me. And again, it will get more varied as the list goes on. That is The Heart of Everything by Within Temptation. This was the second album that I'd ever purchased. Let me pull out the... I want to deal with glare. This is the second album I ever purchased, along with Evanescence's Fallen, on December 26, 2007. So I listened to those two into the ground when I first got them. It was perfect timing. This is them at probably their most... I don't want to say their most ambitious, because I think Silent Force was that, but it does take the Silent Force scope, like that giant orchestral sound, and it is a little bit more of a return to heavier music. Not saying it's like the most heavy metal stuff ever. I think even bands that released music in 2007, like their contemporaries in Nightwish, Imperia, they were doing stuff that was definitely like more extreme than this. This has a lot of commercial, like commercial viability, specifically to an American market of like alternative hard rock and metal. But it definitely is a little bit like harder hitting than say the Silent Force. So it's a cool culmination of their evolution where you have your gothic and your symphonic sounds meeting into this like commercial space, but also just a little bit more extreme than what they had already been doing. So good stuff. Again, I listened to this into the ground in early 2008, and it is one of the quintessential albums of my winter nostalgia. The Silent Force? No, The Heart of Everything by Within Temptation. So like that's gonna set the tone pretty much for this first group of albums. Next up is Aimtoria, God Has a Plan for Us All. Sarah Jezebel Deva has been in the public eye once again because she has joined bands like Covenant back on stage and has recorded another album, I believe, with Mystic Circle, or at least a single, and also the Cradle of Filth drama because the Cradle of Filth drama is never ending. So, and Sarah Jezebel Deva has like been a constant voice in that discourse for ages since she quit the band in 2008. But this was her first solo band. This was her first band front. This was the first time she fronted a band fully, and it is a vast, highly symphonic, dark, gothic kind of. Again, not the most heavy thing, but it definitely has like this electronic programmed element throughout that kind of sets it apart from a little bit of what was happening in the European symphonic gothic metal scene at the time. This is, let's see if I can find the Not Safe for Work cover with the tits blistering. So Christmas time, of course, you know, gifts and stuff, and you're a child and you just kind of like compile information for your parents to be like, I want this thing. That was kind of the only time of the years that I could like get music. This is around the time I actually started getting really into collecting music. So this was like my 8th album ever purchased or whatever. 8th, maybe even 6th or 7th. And it is incredibly lush. I really like it. Again, commercially viable as all hell, but I think it's a really great take on symphonic metal. In these earlier days, you definitely like get an album and you are just listening to it, and you don't really recreate that kind of listening habit as you get older and have disposable income. So this is just some more information to frame exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to like Christmas nostalgia and music that makes me think of Christmas and winter. Hello, it's me again. The next morning, I realized I may have not really explained myself very well, so I'm gonna splice this in. I'm sorry, I'm drinking my morning coffee out of the skull mug that I got from World Goth Day. I kind of specified at the beginning, like, yes, when I was younger, it is about like the albums that I owned. So oftentimes when it came to winter and Christmas, that meant gifts, like, you know, maybe like 1 or 2 CDs a year they can get for Christmas. And then later on, I didn't really specify, I kind of implied it. Your listening habits, like my listening habits definitely changed as I got older and got more access to technology, and things like Pandora and Spotify became a thing, because you could rely on things other than YouTube and they would recommend you stuff, right? So especially in high school, it was a lot of Pandora, internet radio, and that shit is so much worse than I remember it. If you've ever logged on to your Pandora recently, I have. Audio quality is garbage. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, you know, as the video goes on, the listening habits change. Like, it's not really on CD all the time, always, but I still have nostalgic feelings for or associations with winter, and the holiday season. Number 2, I said I just kind of like breezed on past this. Chronological order is what I use, the term chronological order. I'm referring to my own chronology of music. Like, I'm not talking about release date. I'm talking about like this. We start with the stuff that I got when I was younger, or listened to when I was younger, and then we're moving forward in time. So yeah, just wanted to clarify some stuff. And I don't think I need to clarify anything else. That'll be it for me. All right. So thanks. Enjoy. Amaran, Pristine Bondage, and I realize a lot of these bands I'm going to talk about today begin with the letter A or B, which means at some point I have already talked about them on this channel back when I was trying to do like the library like show off thing, but I kind of stopped doing that because I didn't really like the format, at least for me. I feel like I just don't have very many anecdotes. Amaran is definitely a favorite, a little obscure band. Their stuff was released on Listenable Records. They're a Swedish band, and they sound very Swedish. This is the Japanese edition, released on Avalon. This is their sophomore album, released in Japan 2003, and then in the rest of the world, or pretty much just Europe, 2004. I've heard this band described as many a thing. That's them on the back there. I've heard them described as power metal, as melodic thrash metal, as gothic metal, as progressive metal, and as melodic death metal with clean female vocals. And I won't say that all of those are accurate. I think prog and that melodic death metal description, I think, are the most apt. But that's not really the point. So they're kind of hard to pin down, which makes them a great, just kind of like melodic heavy metal band to listen to. And again, hyper melodic also has this like really nice melodic death metal aggression to it. But again, almost all the vocals on this are clean, except for one song who was a guest for Outler. Yeah, great album. Got this also as a Christmas gift in my youth. Catchy as all hell. Kind of like, think maybe the voice of Christina Scabby Lacuna Coil over like a mix between like Dark Tranquility or In Flames, and then with another like a more like power prog kind of element. But yeah, classic for me winter album, right? That same year, I did also get After Forever's self-titled album, their 5th album, and this is them at their most proggy, their most symphonic. Like they actually had recording sessions with, I believe, the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. I don't really remember. 2007, their 5th full-length album, self-titled, incredibly just vast, great scope, sounds amazing. Like, I know Epica kind of set the standard for recording orchestra for metal with Consigned to Oblivion, but I think with this album, they might have, After Forever might have outdone Epica, and this album sounds so good. Kind of similar to, Within Temptations, The Silent Force, I think is kind of the amount of lush cinematic orchestration that we're talking about, but again, After Forever was just more extreme, a little bit more experimental. They definitely kind of stayed true to their heavy metal roots more than a band like Within Temptation has over the years. And if you guys didn't know, this band just had some reunion shows a couple months ago in honor of the 25th anniversary release of their debut album, Prison of Desire, which I wish I could have gone, but they were both in the Netherlands. Hopefully, if it's not too expensive, maybe I'll look for like a t-shirt or something from the show, if there even was merch. I don't even know if there was merch, because I haven't heard anything about any like represses for their stuff, so who knows. Moving on, Anavanta, Sin Decir Adios. I know I had to include this, at least one album by this band, because this was pretty much the only way I could guarantee getting Anavanta's music for the longest time. Was like, I will ask for it for Christmas. Like, I'll get one at least, right? And I did. Sin Decir Adios, so I think this, towards the end of 2010, I think is when I got this the first time. Again, a lot of my collection was stolen in college, so I've had to like repurchase. Finding some of these now has become very difficult. Luckily, I managed to find a lot of them, but they used to be more readily available on like 2010 eBay than they are in 2025 eBay, just heads up. But yeah, this is a great album. Again, not very cold. Actually, this is like probably their least cold album. Maybe one of their metal releases, because they had some releases here and there that weren't really metal. Of their metal releases, this is kind of like their least heavy, maybe? It's just kind of light and feathery, atmospheric as all hell, has some folk elements in the form of like the percussions, like folk percussion, and some like Latin kind of rock influence in some of the guitar melodies here and there, especially in like the most cheesy cheese of cheese to ever goth cheese, Deja Vu, this ballad. It's a duet between the singer and the drummer, who at the time were married, and now they are no longer married. Anyway, great album. They're, again, very not cold, extreme, aggressive. It's just endlessly catchy, and this album spawned some of this band's most iconic songs. So, yeah, killer. I love this so much. Next up, this is probably going to be one of the colder, more like stereotypical winter albums, I think. This is Blood of Bacchus by Oven Ferry. Oven Ferry were a Portuguese, Norwegian, gothic doom metal band. They definitely lean more into that doom element. I think as they progressed in their career, they leaned into that gothic aspect of their sound a bit more, but I think they are more defined by their doom sound, and they're obviously taking inspiration from bands like My Dying Bride, and maybe not Anathema, but Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride were the two big of the PCO3 that I definitely see through lines between this band's sound and those bands' older sound. If you don't know, this band was formed by singer Carmen Susana Simoes, who was a goth singer in the 90s, and then Blasphemer, Norwegian black metal guitarist. And this is just very different from either of those two sounds. Again, doom, dour, not entirely joyless, but it is quite somber. And then throughout their career, they had this kind of folky, progressive fado music influence. And in this album specifically, it kind of manifests itself in this like kind of almost pagan sound that kind of sets them apart from a lot of their female-fronted gothic metal peers at the time. This band, they don't really publish that many photos of themselves, but it came with a second booklet. This is, I should say, this was released in 2009 on Season of Mist, and I loved this band and this album. It was such a shame that they kind of called it quits, as they were kind of building up steam in a really significant way, because they followed this up with Onyx, which is, again, it definitely leans more into those gothic elements, and it pulls back on their more proggy, folky kind of influences. But they were so good at that time, and I think one more album would have really been like chef's kiss to a career. But no, their third album, Blood of Bacchus, is killer. Probably my favorite of them, to be perfectly clear, and is the perfect album for a day like today in San Francisco, when it's kind of rainy and gray and kind of just not sad, but it definitely has like an air that you don't really want to go outside or do anything. Okay, next up is a little bit different. Germans' Bloodflowers, their debut album, Diabolic Angel. This album, I think I got in 2012. I was addicted to this band in that period, specifically this album, when I was in late middle school, early high school. And then again, when I was in like my second, third year of college, I was listening to all three of this band's albums during the winter months, like on repeat playlists, just like shipping it up, mixing it up here and there. They're interesting. They kind of live in this weird space between like hymn and evanescence, and kind of there's some similarities with bands like Flowing Tears, or even Darkwell. It's, again, it kind of lives in like this weird mix of gothic metal, alt rock, new metal, and it's just endlessly catchy. This band were signed to Silverdust, which I've never really heard of, but it was distributed through Sonic Cathedral, I guess. I don't really get this band's history, but they, played some notable festivals back in the early 2000s. This debut of theirs was released in 2002, and then they kind of released their third album, toured it, and then called it quits for a while, and then reformed, and then put out an album under a different name eventually, and then actually a second album did come out, and I haven't listened to either of those two because I really wanted a Bloodflowers record, and based on the German translated interviews that I saw, it sounded like that other project by Mary Sheen was going to be different from the next Bloodflowers record. So I don't really know what's going on with this band. They did play some shows under this name again, but I don't know, I really love this band, and I would have loved a fourth record. The Agonist, she's switching things up. They actually broke up a couple years ago, but for those of you who don't know and aren't plugged into the Arch Enemy drama, so Arch Enemy's most recent singer, Elisa White-Gluz, was before Arch Enemy the singer of The Agonist, and she released 3 albums with them as their vocalist, and this is their third. Originally, it was released early June 2012. I remember this because the day it came out, or actually the day I thought it came out, because I thought it was going to come out in April for some reason, or May. I walked my ass up after school to the Rasputin Telegraph in Berkeley and tried to find it, and then it was nowhere to be found, probably because it wasn't fucking out yet. So I don't know what my information, like where that came from, but I was so sure I was going to find it in that store that day. Or maybe it was June 5th. No, actually it was June. It was really like the second to last week of school, and I wanted to go and get this album after school, and they didn't have it, which is so weird because it's Century Media. They should have had it. I don't know why they didn't. So I eventually got it in 6 months later in the winter, and this album is killer, proggy, melodic death, metalcore crossover. Not quite deathcore-y, like not really at all, but it kind of lives in, if you ever listen to Darkest Hour, they kind of live in a similar world to Darkest Hour, but these are like 5.5-minute songs with weird kind of weird, strong song structure, and a lot of cleans and growls, and just really cool, catchy, like it's just a cool blend of everything. It's just heavy metalcore riffing, melodic death metal melodies, killer vocals. Like, Alyssa White Glass was never like the best clean singer, but she definitely knows how to use her instrument in a way that serves the song. So some killer melodies here, and the lyrics, I remember thinking, were incredible at this time. Alyssa White Glass is a great lyricist. With a little bit of an age, with a little bit more age, you do kind of see like it can be a little try hard here and there, but they are great, just expanses of poetry. Politically driven, very strong opinionated, and just has a great like flow. Like, the way you pronounce the words is wonderful. Like, it just fits so nicely in your mouth, especially with growls. Alyssa White Glass is a great lyricist. I was such a shame that she kind of had to like dumb herself down for Arch Enemy, just because like the style of Arch Enemy doesn't really suit her lyrics. That being said, though, I haven't listened to her new single, her new solo single, so I don't know if she's still, trying to go for that kind of like that scope of lyricism. I'll get on that soon, because I am excited for her solo album, because I think she's been trying to work on a solo project for like 9 years now. Anyways, that's Prisoners by the Agnes, if I didn't say that, released 2012 on Century Media. Loved that band. Didn't care for their later stuff as much. We're coming to the end. My only black metal release on this bash, I believe, is Thane by Borrowlands. Let's see if we can get a good look at that. This is a band based out of, I want to say, I don't remember if it's Portland or Seattle areas. Either way, Oregon or Washington, one of those two. I got into them through Asphodel Winter Productions, which is a Bay Area underground black metal label, and they published their cassette, a cassette version of their 2012 demo, and I bought that in high school. And when they finally did release a full-length album, I believe, for whatever reason, the quickest way for me to get one was actually to order it from like Taiwan. So this was released on Pest Productions, which I believe is a Taiwanese label, if they're not Chinese. They might be Chinese. But this is so good. I'm not a huge black metal person. I would describe myself as more of a more black metal leaning than death or thrash when it comes to extreme heavy metal. But this is wonderfully progressive, atmospheric. It's just reverb, for days, unclear production, like really kind of not sloppy drumming. I don't want to say syncopated either. It's just kind of like pulls and like ebbs and flows in a way that's wonderful. There's cello on this, there's cello all over this, and like it's never quite in tune, but just gives it so much charm and dissonance. It's a great melodic, proggy, atmospheric black metal album. I, for the longest time, could not tell what was happening on this album cover, but I realized it's an Ent, like the tree people in Lord of the Rings. It took so long for me to figure that out. Anyway, killer album. This came out in 2014, I believe, and the Pest Productions version, I want to say, was 2015, but I could be wrong. No one fact check me, or do. Let me know how incorrect I am in the comments. Moving on, that same year, a big band I was listening to, because at this point we're in high school. Bands and artists I listened to in high school, in winter. At the time, now, I was listening to a lot of Matter Mortem. Matter Mortem are a Norwegian proggy, avant-garde, post-metal band. I don't know. Their first album, Mercury, released in 1999 on Misanthropic Records, or Misanthrope, whatever it's called, was like a atmospheric gothic doom metal band, or album, in the way of like Mandillion by The Gathering or Nighttime Birds even, but a lot more aggressive. Like, they weren't as spacey, slow. They were definitely a bit more aggressive. And it is a killer album, but they quickly changed directions, so they definitely stood themselves apart a little bit amongst the female-fronted gothic metal horde of the early 2000s, right? They went into this like really weird, proggy, aggressive direction, And this album, super dry guitar tone, but it's produced, I think, really, really well. They just build atmosphere in like some unconventional ways. Like when I think of atmosphere, I think keys, I think reverb. This is like really dry, but they just like, it's like slow kind of twanging guitar and like occasionally maybe a piano. But great vocal performances. The band sounds wonderful. It has like this like groove, like aggressive groove kind of undercurrent throughout the whole thing. Yes, and I listened to this shit for like 6 months. It's so good. It's so good. I actually have been wanting to get back to Mattermortem because I think I have all of their stuff. They released one album in 2024 that was actually really good. Not my favorite by them at all, but it's really good. And I kind of missed 2 albums in their comeback. And I kind of want to get back into them because this album, especially in the follow-up, 9 Ways, or the 9th Wave, is also phenomenal. That one's a little bit more romantic, but the one that also preceded this one, Deadlands, is also killer. Maybe less groove, a little bit more prog, but it is similar in style to this. Alright, that's enough of this. This is great. I love this album so much. Get it, please. Moving on. This is maybe, okay, no, I changed my mind. This is going to be the coldest album on this list, and that is Fetish by Artrosis, Polish gothic metal band extraordinaire. This is their first industrial record. It is definitely inhuman and cold and distant. It feels very synthetic, but it does blend those kind of like gothic elements really well into it, like the keys and the song structure is very similar to their previous album, but it just is a different kind of synthetic, I don't even know, just a synthetic world of like beats and mechanical clicks, and you know, it's not the heaviest metal record. The guitar work is actually quite melodic, and it's not very aggressive either, but the tone is just absolutely just killer. I love the atmosphere that they build on this. This is the English version, because when I was listening to this band initially, the only thing I can get online for purchase was the English versions. It was the most readily available. I have since gotten all the Polish language versions, but I think to show, I wanted to highlight the English version. Does Medea, the singer, sound as good singing English? No. But you know what? I think when I come back to this album specifically, this is the version I'm thinking of. This was released on Metal Mind Records in 2001, and this album was the only time that this band was nominated for Frederick Award, which is the Polish version of the American Grammys. Would it be my choice for a nomination of any kind like this for this band? No. But it's definitely different. It definitely has a tone. I think that's maybe my big thing about a lot of the Polish bands, that they just are, they have a lot of personality. Just tons of personality. And I really appreciate that. I do. Alright, last one. This is when I say, like, I don't, like, what I consider a winter listen isn't the most stereotypical of a winter sound, because I think this album is probably more spring or summer if you looked at it, and I would agree with you, but I associate it so heavily with like listening to Pandora internet radio in high school in the rain, walking home after school. And that is Dark Clouds in a Perfect Sky by Liechtenstein gothic metal band, Ellis. Their first album, I think, is a great contender for this genre too. Like, that is a bit colder, more romantic, more like dripping in gothic atmosphere. This is less so. There's wonderful like piano and strings on this, but the tone on this is a bit warmer, a little bit more romantic, a little bit more sincere. I don't know. It just looks like spring. This is the band photo. Rest in peace, Sabine Dunster, the original vocalist who passed in 2006 in a rehearsal while recording the third album. Anyway, let me just get into this. This is such a Christmas listen for me. This is the epitome of rainy weather for me. just the way that the pianos kind of like tinkle, because it's fully plastic, like Casio synthetic keyboards on this, but the way that the piano interlocks with like the more thrash, like kind of thrashy oriented guitars is wonderful. It kind of almost feels like the rain itself, like almost like dew, morning dew kind of evaporating off and rain hitting the ground. It's just a nice kind of contrast of sounds here. Beauty and the Beast, released in 2004. I love the year 2004 for metal. I kind of want to do just a video on the year 2004. And of course it'd be mostly my favorite subgenre is symphonic and gothic metal, but like prog and folk and black and yeah, I don't need to explain myself. But I love this album. It is so good. It's not my favorite Ellis album. I think that's still Griefshire, the third record, but this is really, really up there for me, and it's one of my favorite. It's just Ellis is one of my favorite gothic metal bands in a long time, and it took me a long time to get there because this band for me, like what really held them back initially is the vocalist, because Sabine Dünzer's singing voice isn't the most like conventionally good. Okay, her timbre isn't the most accessible, but she has a great way of harmonizing. She sounds great on record and live. I saw some great live clips from the year 2005 on YouTube. I don't know, she's just an underrated singer, and this band was underrated. And I always wondered if she hadn't passed at that untimely, at that unfortunate timing, what she would end up doing. Like, I don't know, would she like rise up amongst the ranks of the female-fronted symphonic metal singers like Sharon Donadel? Or would she, have a little bit more modest career? Who knows? But she was a great lyricist also for this band. Singer, frontwoman, lots of charm. Yeah, I don't know. Again, not the most aggressive thing, but it is definitely more, heavy metal forward than some of the stuff that I've showed on this list. Let's do some housekeeping. I do want to do a best of year video because I've listened to so many records this year. But I am waiting for the end of the year because I'm such a small channel. I don't get promos. So I'm still listening to new stuff, and I don't care if it's really recent. It can totally end up on my top 15 or whatever. Like, I'm no like, it must have been released in the last 6 months. No, I don't care. I do not care. If it's good, it's good. And maybe I'll caveat that when I eventually do make this video, but I'm still listening to new releases. There are still 2 more Fridays. Is there 2 more Fridays? No, there's still 1 more Friday of the new year from new music. So stay tuned for eventually I will make a video on it. And I'm also currently going through the process of listening to, like re-listening to albums and trying to like really organize my thoughts and my rankings and exactly what I want to say. So that will be probably an early January thing. Keep an eye out for it. And I kind of want to do superlatives also, but I think that might be its own video. Either way, thank you very much for watching. Tell me your favorite nostalgic winter Christmas listens in the comments. And yeah, have a good one. Happy New Year. Happy holidays for those who celebrate. All right, I'm gonna go listen to this and probably do one more vacuum pass before I call it quits. All right.